Rodolfo De Benedetti has worked for his family business in Italy since 1988. He is now the executive chairman of its holding group, CIR, having been chief executive for several decades, and a partner in asset manager De Carlia. CIR has interests in many industries, including energy, healthcare, financial services and media, and owns La Repubblica newspaper. It also has a record amount of cash on its balance sheet, and I started by asking Mr. De Benedetti why he felt it was better to spend money on share buybacks rather than on growth opportunities.
We'd rather spend it on growth opportunities, frankly, and we are certainly looking actively at them, both within the existing portfolio of assets that we own, but also outside of it. We just believe that this is not a very easy environment to deploy capital. We think there is a lot of capital around, prices are high, and we just haven't seen very attractive opportunities lately. So in the meantime, we're taking advantage of what we think is a good opportunity for our shareholders, which is to buy back our own stock.
And one area that you do feel optimistic about, though, is asset management, isn't it? I mean, you relatively recently started a Geneva-based asset management business. Why are you so optimistic about that?
We believe that there is a very interesting opportunity in this current market to offer a different service from what the large, big, complicated, full of compliance financial institutions do. So we're very excited about this opportunity.
Turning back to CIR, I mean, your father, Carlo, handed over control of the business to you and your two brothers 2 years ago.
Yes.
There is a cliche about family businesses going wrong in the third generation. What succession planning have you and your brothers done?
I'm 53. My younger brother is 50. So even though we're not young anymore, but we think we have a few years ahead of us to plan and to think about this. It is relatively recent that we have received ownership of our group from my father, even though I've been working in the group for a long time. And so this is a subject that we discuss and debate between us. And I think it's a bit too early today to say what we will do, but I think we are very conscious about the fact that families grow faster than businesses. So we feel that we have a responsibility toward our shareholders and the members of our family to try to make the right decisions. And I think when the day will come, we'll try to take the best decision in the interest of everybody.
Sticking with your family, I know you have 3 daughters. One of them has already decided not to go into business and is a very talented photographer. But what are you doing to make it easier for women to get into the boardroom?
We're opening the boardroom to them. We did start to do that years ago when it was not compulsory. Italy has, as other countries have established a law by which publicly traded companies have to have a certain percentage of women on board. And we are blessed to have in our group Monica Mondardini, who joined us 8 years ago as CEO of Espresso. And I recruited her at the time, and it was not obvious in a very masculinist type of society like media in Italy, and she's done a fantastic job. And I've asked her 2 years ago to be the CEO of the entire group. And so it's not just that we have women on board, but we also have women CEOs.
As you know, the UK has recently elected a government which is committed to a referendum on British membership of the EU. Would it affect your investment perspective on Britain if it voted to leave the EU?
I'm very worried about that. Not to have the presence and the input of Britain in the EU would be a loss for the EU. I think the kind of pragmatist, market-oriented kind of culture that you have in this country is very useful and is very important, and I wish we had more in Europe and in Brussels. And I think for Britain and for companies operating here, it would be a huge uncertainty and a huge question mark to understand and figure out what the consequence of this could be. And this city, has become the financial capital of Europe and one of the most important financial centers, if not the most important in the world. And I think, people would just start to guess and ask themselves what would be the consequences. And I just think we don't need that.
Mr. De Benedetti, are you ready to play long short?
I am.
Greece to leave the Eurozone.
Short.
Britain to leave the EU.
Short.
European economic recovery.
Long.
The euro versus the dollar.
Short.
Newspapers.
Long.
A woman to run Italy in the next decade.
Long.
Italian versus French wine.
Long.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Sarah.